Current research shows that 1 in 20 young people and children have lost a parent by the age of 16. Losing a parent at such a young age is extremely traumatic. So today, I'm speaking to Iasonas and to Ella about their experience because they have both lost a parent, unfortunately, at a young age. So Iasonas first, could you tell me about the day when you found out about your parent passing away?
I was 9.5 when my dad died. So pretty much he had a heart attack in the middle of the night. And then, so it wasn't an instant thing because he was in hospital for around 2 weeks and then kind of was just surviving on the machines. And then he died just 3 days before Christmas. In a sense, although I didn't know he had died immediately right after the heart attack, I kind of did know within, just inside.
My mum was very unwell for a long time, so she had motor neuron disease. She started to get unwell when I was about 4 years old. The day that I kind of found out that she died, so it was in the half of the week that she would live in kind of like a hospice respite home. And my dad had found out the day before, I think maybe she died in about midday in the afternoon, but decided that he didn't want to tell me and my brothers that day because we were out having kind of like a fun day. I think we were bowling actually with some friends. So I think he wanted to give us kind of one last day of not knowing that. So the next morning he came in and he told us all individually, but he told me first because I'm the oldest. So then I kind of he sat with me for a bit and then I kind of listened to him tell my other two brothers. Even though I knew she was going to die, I remember I used to lay in bed when I was like 10, 11, and I used to like say in my head, oh, as long as she can live till I'm 16 or 18, then I'll be grown up enough to I'll be like, wait, I know I'll still be sad about it, but I'll be like, well, I'll be an adult when I'm 18.
Did you understand what kind of grief you were going through so young? And I guess off that, did you even understand what grief was?
No, I wasn't really aware of any processes of grief or anything. And I don't think I understood too well, my internal processes of dealing with emotions. Like even to an extent now, I need some therapy to help me work through things properly.
I really didn't process it. I didn't really understand what I was going through. I knew I felt sad about my mum dying, but I didn't really understand the complexities of that or how it can show up in like interpersonal relationships or the way you deal with stress. And it's something I'm kind of like figuring out now, I think.
And I think something that comes up, and I think we're all guilty of it, we come with the "I'm sorry for your loss, my deepest condolences," and all of the repeated statements that we think are maybe the only go-tos in that situation. But I guess when it's repeated so much, and it probably has been so much for both of you, does it then tend to make those words lose their validity and their, I guess, their impact or even their relevance to you?
That's the thing, those words, although they're really meant well, and I really appreciate it when it comes, because of course people want to say the right thing and that's really difficult to figure out what that is. It's a part of our life, it's not a surprise to us, the same way that it might be when it gets brought up to somebody else. We don't have that jolt of shock that a parent's dead. We know that, that's our life. Those words of, I'm so sorry, it must be so difficult, are kind of water off a duck's back, because it's kind of, yeah, of course it is, but you don't need to go into it.
Yeah.
I guess the nicest thing which happens often is like a kind of apology, which I think I've had myself do. It's weird because you see yourself doing the same things that you're like, why do people do that? Like, why are you telling me sorry?
Did you guys have anybody that you grew up with who had went through something similar?
I remember, again, it was a school thing. It was when I was about 17 or 18, and it somehow came up in conversation that my mum had died. And I went to the bathroom, and there was an elderly lady who came up to me, and she was like, oh, and she just said, you're the same as me then. And I like looked at her, I didn't know who she was, and I was like, oh, sorry, I don't know what you mean. She was like, you're the same as me. My mum died when I was 13. And then I just kind of looked at her, and I felt this crazy connection, like just feeling of warmth towards her. And then she just said, oh, so we know how it is, don't we? She was like, life's hard, but we get through it, and things are good. And I just like cry, and I don't normally cry in front of people, and I just cried in front of her. Yes. And it was and that was probably the first time I realised it's so beneficial, or would be for me, to speak to people who've been through something similar.
Do you feel like it has had an impact or an effect on how you are living your adult life and how you were stepping into adult life.
This thing that it'll always be with you, missing what you had at that point in time, because it was kind of stripped from you. So I don't know if that leaves ever. I wouldn't really expect it to, and I don't necessarily want it to in a weird way. I have found that I think it's made me want to really prioritize, like, the people that I want to be around. I've kind of been actively talking about my dad more and trying to make that a thing I comfortably do with the people that I didn't used to do that with.
So to wrap it up, I think it's important for us to reflect on firstly our younger selves. If you could speak to your younger self, what would you tell that younger version of yourself?
Accept what's happening. Don't spend too much time imagining how it could be different, because it isn't and it can't be.
Yeah.
All of these things that you're so worried about, those kind of little things, that deadlines or being late to something, they're just channels for this grief. You're not crazy. It's understandable and it's okay to be processing things in this way because you're still so young, you're so little, so don't stress too much.
If you can see that even though this massive thing that is kind of blinding you has happened, your day-to-day will still be normal for you, and you're going to have really fulfilling aspects of your life and things that make you very happy.
Thank you so much for sharing your experiences. I truly do appreciate your time.
Thank you
so much, love.